Hello and welcome to the 10th anniversary of the Grunge Bible page. This is episode 254 of the podcast, coming up on 5 years. My name is Ethan Shalloway. I'm joined by Chris Salona. And today, on release day,
10 years to the day.
10 years to the day of the very first post made live on Instagram, the classic Big Four with the names across. And it honestly, it's one of my favorite posts, one of my favorite pictures that we ever messed around with. Somebody just edited like 3 photos together, but put their names across, and it looks like a big deal. And we liked it a lot. And so we're excited to be here talking today about the page in general.
Yeah, 10-year anniversary, man. It's been, 10 years is a decent amount of time, and just getting right into that aspect, because you referenced our first ever post, which went out February 2nd, 2016. Episode 254, which you're listening to now, is being released February 2nd of 2026. But yeah, man, we set the tone early, and I think everything that we've done has been in this ethos. So recounting that first post, it's Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, and Eddie Vedder, just a black and white collage of all 4 of them. And the first ever post on Grunge Bible, which thankfully we still have, and it's pinned to the top of the page, the only pin that we'll ever put up there. And it's that image of those 4 individuals. And the post says, "I think music is the greatest art form that exists. And I think people listen to music for different reasons, and it serves different purposes. Some of it is background music, and some of it is things that might affect a person's day, if not their life, or change an attitude. The best songs are the ones that make you feel something." That's a quote by Eddie Vedder. And we said, "Welcome to Grunge Bible. This is dedicated to those reluctant few who have changed music and the lives of many through their work." So we hit the ground running 10 years ago today, and we haven't looked back. And I would say, the feelings that we felt that day when we pressed publish on that first post have guided us each and every day of the last 10 years. And I'd like to think that the page, and certainly the podcast, is right in that realm. The best songs are the ones that make you feel something. And that's what we do. We've been spending 10 years talking about the songs that make us feel something. And there's no other person that I'd rather do it with you, Ethan. So let's check in 10 years later.
I could not agree more. And this quote that we chose is just so perfect.
We hit a dinger, man.
Which happens a lot when you even look back 10 years. Like you said, the flagship is the same. It's the same ship we're riding today.
Sure is.
We were talking a lot about music as an art form, and it's like the greatest art form that exists, and everybody listens for different reasons. You get something out of it. It's so special how the different genres make you feel. Really proud that is the that's pinned at the top, right? That's a nice little flag for the ship.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's kind of funny. Looking back to where I was on February 2nd of 2016, I was in my dorm room as a sophomore in college at Iowa State University, and I had just gotten back from my second ever track meet for Iowa State. We were at the University of Arkansas at like the Razorback Invite or something. It was the second time I competed for Iowa State. I'd never been to Arkansas before, kind of getting moving on that part of my college life and college career. And February 2nd, we started this thing, and I was 19 and you were 21, and now we're no longer 19 and 21. I'm turning 30 later this year, and you're turning 32 later this year. So it's kind of why we never thought that deeply into it when we started it. But no. I don't think if you were to have asked both of us if we were still running this page 10 years in the future, I don't think we would have said yes, but we're still here, and now we got a podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how we would have known this, right? Especially like
if I had known then what I know now.
Right. It's just, where technology and IG was at the point of inception, it's just so much different now. And
it's so different.
And people, and a lot of questions, we're going to do a Q&A today and answer a bunch of questions about the page, about music, could be about anything. But usually a lot of times people ask about how you grow the page and were you expecting this? And like the answer is like, you just post, and no, we had no idea. Like it was like, hey, we should post about the music. I don't even it's so funny. It's like, I don't even really people ask why you started it. And it's like,
We
honestly, like it was kind of an ironic like starting point, and it's
we
weird
just
to even
wanted to tell
say.
our
Yeah,
story.
yeah, like we just wanted to be a part of like something, the part of the storytelling of the music. Yeah. Um, yeah, man, it's so funny, and we'll get more into the questions. So yeah,
Yeah, we
let's do the
will.
check-in, and it's like we'll do a double check-in. So you obviously how you doing in this moment, and then I guess compared to 10 years ago, a check-in.
Yeah,
So
man.
Chris, how are you doing right this moment in time,
Right this
and then
moment in
take us
time.
back.
I'm feeling pretty good at this moment in time. We're recording this on Thursday, January 29th, so a few days before the episode drops. Things are going well. It is unbelievably cold here. We got our first major snowstorm here in Rhode Island. First one in probably a few years. I think 2022 was the last big one. We got like 16 inches of snow. And it just makes everything more difficult. I was up this morning early to go to my morning job that I do a few days a week, and it was like 3 degrees, -5 with the wind chill, and I'm spending most of that time outside. And it's good though. The harshness of the winter makes you appreciate the calmness of the spring and summer. So. I'm paying my dues. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Everything's going pretty well. I was supposed to compete in a weightlifting meet this past weekend, but the snowstorm canceled it. So we threw in the towel for that one, and we're getting ready for one in March. And my New England Patriots are back in the Super Bowl somehow too. So it's kind of wild. Ethan, you and I were spitballing back and forth, and we started this page right before Super Bowl 50. Which was the Super Bowl between the Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. And since then, you're a Chiefs fan. I'm a Patriots fan. Either the Chiefs or the Patriots have been in every single Super Bowl except one. Obviously not Super Bowl 50, and then not the Rams versus Bengals one. But
Yep.
we've had to see the table most years, and I'd like to think that us founding Grunge Bible has set the precedent and is the catalyst for that. We've always had skin in the game more or less since then. So it feels good. That's how I'm doing now. If 10 years ago, if I were to forecast what my life would look like now, I truly don't know. Like when I was in college, like, you're going to school, like you pick a major, you do all that stuff. But especially I think being a college athlete, like our focuses were so short-sighted at the time. It was like getting ready for the next meet, getting ready for the season, finishing, that semester's work, getting ready for this exam. I think that's one thing my life has changed quite a bit in terms of like what your goals are and what you're focusing on. Like in college, certainly with like the rhythm of athletics, like it's always like week to week, month to month. Like the farthest you'll think about is like, you start the indoor track season, you got to get ready for the conference meet, and you start outdoor in March or April. And it's like, all right, like I'm thinking as far ahead as May and June for postseason.
Yeah.
So like your life goals and what you're thinking about changes so much. I mean, like, we're adults now. Like we have, copious amounts of responsibilities that like a college kid just doesn't really have. And I've grown a lot too. But in a weird way, like I think I'm largely the same person, and I have very similar values to the way that I had. And I think this journey with the page and what we've learned from the music has developed a lot of those values and solidified them and given voice to those values. So, I don't know. I mean, I was going to school for criminal justice and sociology at the time. I had no idea what I really wanted to do. And then, then I decided I wanted to work in college athletics, and, I wanted to coach track and field, and I did that for a little bit. And, then I decided that wasn't what I was going to do. And then I kind of made it up as I went along. And, here I am 10 years later. I don't think I would have forecasted really anything.
Yeah.
Outside of the relationships that I have in my life, my family, my friendships, still being physically active, still loving music. I mean, I don't think, where I was going to live, I don't think I would have guessed that I would be back in Rhode Island. I don't think I would have guessed that I would be doing the work that I'm doing. I wouldn't have guessed that mustaches would have come back, and I've been sporting one for many years at this point. Yeah. But
I just started over.
Yeah, dude. Hey, you gotta refresh sometimes. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. But college, 2016, that was a really good year for me, and it started something special between us. And it's gone from something special between you and I to something special between us and hundreds of thousands of people, over 1 million people around the world, which is crazy. Would not have forecasted that. That wasn't in the plans.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in a good spot right now. I'm in a warm area.
Oh yeah.
We were in Miami for the big we were for a javelin clinic, and there was it was 80 degrees and it was like getting sun
Crazy.
when everybody back home. So it's so funny. I would be outside working at this point. I'm so glad to not have to be
Oh
dealing with
yeah.
the wind chill and all
It's
that and the
a good
snow.
time to slip away.
Yeah, it's a very good time to slip away. And I'm with Thomas Rollo, the Olympic champion in javelin, and Julian Weber, who's like world's farthest throw the past year, and then obviously so many other people. It's a lot of inspiration. This is the reason I moved. I've been doing javelin for 15 years or 16, but I moved to Birmingham and I made these connections and whatnot. So
Right.
it's like a big part of my life. And then obviously the music side, and like we were talking about, 10 years ago, it's so funny because we both were in a new spot and it was like we hadn't,
You had just moved to
performed.
Kentucky. You'd only
I
been in
was a
Kentucky for
mid-year,
like a
yeah.
month. Yeah.
I was a mid-year transfer, so we were really connected in the fall. Like, kind of basically, it was like we were brewing this up without even knowing,
Yes.
right? That's where all like I was in Finland training, and you were in Iowa, like brand new, like figuring it out. And you were a sophomore, which like as a sophomore, it's like you're still an underclassman, and I had 3 years as well. There's just like you have no responsibilities. You don't really understand. I always say those first 2 years are free. So yeah, you start a dumb Instagram page where you can post whatever you want. I mean, like it's there's not a burden of doing that when you're
Yeah.
younger.
I think something that's interesting too, now that you mention it, like when we started that page, like that feeling of newness and of freshness and of unknown, like
Yes.
was everywhere around us in more or
Everywhere.
less
Anything.
everything that we did,
Yes.
And now I'd say there's certainly a lot more stability to our lives, maybe certainly a little bit more routine. And, that feeling of newness or of possibility is fewer and further in between. And not to say that's a bad thing. I think it's just the natural progression of things as you start to build your life out. But yeah, I mean, that was another kind of central emotion that was behind that page, behind the page of.
I hear people talk about like uniqueness in life, and like you can only have a unique experience. Well, you can only have a first time once, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's be first time competing in college, then by the 25th time it's old hat, and that goes for everything. So like at that time of your life, everything is going to be new. It's first time, and like traveling is probably new to you, or traveling on your own. There's certain things, and there's just so much life, and it's important to continue to find things that are special and unique the older you get because you've done more things. So there's like theoretically less things that you can do that are new, even though there's a million things. And I will say this, I played music, and before college, and I was like, in a way had to choose athletics or music,
Right.
and I chose athletics. But in reality, because of this page, I have been so connected to music the last 10 years that I never had to choose between the two. I just maybe play a little less. And I think for you, like you were, also into music, but this we've been in this music vein for 10 years. And I'm so thankful for it because I knew, music is so important and it's hard to make time. And this has allowed us to think critically about it and appreciate it and just, further that music, a love for music and just the impact it can have. I think now it's easy for us to slow down when someone says, "Hey, I want you to listen to this song." We get it. We understand why they're asking us to listen, and we're like, yeah, let's see what it's about. So
It's the gift
I've
that
been
keeps
very
on
thankful.
giving. Keeps on
Yeah, I've been
giving.
very, very, very thankful to just be in the music world the last 10 years because of this. And just obviously like, the friendships and everything that grows because of it it's why we love music.
Yeah,
So
100%. I mean, what music gives to us and at this point, literally, I think, hundreds of relationships that we've developed through music. Some people that, are still in our lives, some people that we had in our lives for a while. And, I've had so many great experiences with great people because of music. And, music, the Grunge Bible is really kind of ground zero for me in terms of like really becoming a music head. I'd always enjoyed it. But I think
100%.
when I got to college, man, like I think like our friendship really woke that inside of me. And, I've never let it go. And, some of my greatest friendships, music is a central cornerstone of it.
And it turns out that you were a really good fit for it, right?
Yeah,
It's like-
exactly.
it's like a gift that you were. He's like, oh yeah, I have a gift for this, and like it's great.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So, yeah, crazy, man. 10 years is that's a good milestone.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna talk about that more. We have some questions that maybe get into it. And throughout this whole time, we've had a lot of support with different people, different messages. Like I said, we started the podcast 5 years ago. That anniversary will be coming in March, and We've had some Patreon. We started the Patreon, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah,
Has
a
that been
little.
rolling
Oh,
for 5 years? A little bit
it's been
later.
rolling for a little bit longer,
3.
actually. We started the Patreon when we started the website because before we did the
Wow.
podcast, we had the website. So we started the Patreon sometime in the spring or summer of 2020, and then it was already up and running by the time that we were, marketing the podcast and launching the podcast. So I really took on its, the form that it is
Yeah.
today in
With the
conjunction with the
podcast.
podcast. We changed the Patreon around a little bit since then. But yeah, that's been running for over 5 years now. And that's been, outside of all of the support that we get from people just interacting with the page, sharing it, sharing their
Right.
stories, giving their time, the financial burden of doing the podcast and running the page has really been taken on by our supporters over at Patreon. And, we've had so many people come and go throughout the years, but more people have
Yeah.
come and stayed than have come and departed. And we're really, really grateful for that. And the cool thing about it is you support the Patreon for a while, you might fall off and you find your way back. And we've had somebody that's come back home to the nest here. For those who have listened for a long time, you may remember the Blue Owl as being a staunch supporter of the Patreon. And the Blue Owl, took a little bit of time away, but has come back home and joined the Patreon.
The prodigal son has returned.
Yeah, we're killing the fatted calf today.
Yes,
But
we are.
we got a message from the Blue Owl saying, "I'm back on the upside down. This time permanently on the grunge train. I'm going to change by not changing at all. I just want to show how much I appreciate this account and the podcast, and I'm excited to catch up. Although hard times are all around, I'm glad some things never change, like music. At least the stuff that was before and here to stay. And I'm thankful you guys are still informing people about the music this page is founded upon. I'm also glad you guys are sharing so much more. Because of the page, I can discover new music and discover more by myself. Stay heavy, guys." So welcome back, Blue Owl. It's great to have you. We're so blessed for your presence and for everybody's presence. Certainly on Patreon and on the page, and anybody that presses play on this podcast. I would like to thank our top tier supporters over on Patreon. We've got a two-way tie, the tag team of Abraham and Frank and the Cracker Man are tied way up at the top of the leaderboards there. At this time, the 10th anniversary of Grunge Bible, the top tier supporter list on Patreon, in addition to Abraham and Frank and Cracker Man, is Jamie Lynn, Carlene Salona, Doug Endy, What the Fuck Is Up, Denny's, Black Hole Sean, Nikki Six, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Sherry Matthews, Gochu John, Russell, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, The Michael Dooley Project, A Bit Dusty, Ultra Mega OK, Heidi in Chains, Looking California, Feeling Minnesota, and Chris Buckley. So that's who we're rolling with now as we get into a new year of Grunge Bible.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I love having the Blue Owl come back. Some things, all things that die someday come back,
Exactly, man.
and we love it. So
they say if you work hard, you'll find your way back home.
So we are going to take a temporary pause on talking about bands like the Butthole Surfers and the Melvins and the people that really influenced, to just answer some questions from the people. We have This Day in Music. I almost forgot. We do have This Day in Music that we see. We have. I like that he brought up. We're talking about all the bands that influence, because we're on a kick right now, and Houdini and Electric Ladyland have been playing in our ears the last few weeks.
They sure have.
and let me just say, they have changed us.
The whole truth and nothing but. Yeah, who's to say for better or for worse? But they have changed us.
That's right.
We've changed, not by not changing at all. We've just changed because
we've changed.
Oh yeah. So This Day in Music, February 2nd. Ethan, you want to kick this thing off?
Yeah, absolutely. In 1942, Graham Nash was born.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash, all that kind of stuff, and he's still
83.
with us.
He's still with us. Yep, he's 83.
He'll be 84 today. Crazy stuff.
It's 2026.
It's 2026, man. And Graham Nash is also important to us. There's that clip of that documentary interview that he did in the early 90s where he was talking about long hair and how it was a flag. If you looked at somebody with long hair, you knew what their life was about. You knew that they probably, they knew where the good drugs were. You knew that they were into a reasonable life. You knew that they were probably skeptical of the government. You saw somebody with long hair, you knew what that meant. In the same way, Graham Nash says you look at somebody with short hair, you kind of knew what that meant too. And, Graham Nash is a long hair for a lot of his life, and we're grateful for his presence. A lot of good music over the years. So happy birthday to Graham Nash as Ethan just unfurled his hair in tribute.
In honor of Graham Nash.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Moving
Graham is a
forward,
great
yeah,
first name
it
too.
is, dude. We need some more Grahams in the world. I
Yeah,
think we got to get some of that in the action.
some young Grahams.
Oh yeah. On this day in 1959, the trio of Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper played their final show, a part of their winter dance party tour at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa. Clear Lake is a town that a lot of my friends from Iowa State are from. I've been to Clear Lake a few times. I've actually been to the Surf Ballroom as well, as I've recounted on
Nice.
the podcast. So they played what would turn out to be their final show on February 2nd of 1959, and in the early morning hours of February 3rd, 1959, the plane that they were in traveling to their next gig crashed outside of Clear Lake, killing those three individuals. And that has been immortalized in music history as the, quote, day the music died, obviously referenced heavily in the Don McLean song American Pie, and very somber day in the music world.
Yeah, that's that's pretty cool that you've been there.
I have, yeah.
Checked it
They
out.
have some murals all over the
I'm
walls
sure.
of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, and they actually, I've said this before, I think in past episodes, but they have a phone at the front of house. There was a bank of phone booths, and evidently the one that Buddy Holly made his last call from is kind of partitioned off behind glass, and they have that. They have
Wow.
some paraphernalia from the show that night. Some different posters and billings and things like that, and it's kind of eerie, looking
The
into
Big
that.
Bopper.
Oh yeah, the Big Bopper, man. Dude, he's big. He was big and he was bopping.
He is bopping. Oh man, moving to 1966, we want to wish a happy birthday to Robert DeLeo, the bassist of STP,
Co-founder, the man.
co-founder. Yes, he's turning 60.
Yeah, man.
So
Big
that's
6-0.
the big 60, man. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
We talk about the musicianship in STP a lot. So he's a part of the rhythm. He's part of the soul of the group. So
Robert
happy
and
birthday,
Dean,
Robert.
Eric, Scott,
Yep.
and everyone since. On this day in 1993, this is a good one here. The great Willie Nelson, who's still with us by the grace of God. This day in 93, Willie Nelson settled a $17 million tax debt he owed to the IRS by paying them $9 million in cash and assets that they had already seized from him. And some of the funds that he was able to make good on his debts came from the sale of an album that he put out in 1991 called The IRS Tapes, Who Will Buy My Memories? He cut that album and released it specifically to raise money to make good on his debt. And, and as Jerry Cantrell spoke around that time, we pay our debt sometime in the song Over Now from Alice in Chains' Tripod album in 95. Perhaps maybe Jerry was inspired by the tale of Willie Nelson making good on his massive debt to the IRS. But we do.
Who will buy my memories is an incredible name.
Oh yeah,
That is
good.
so good, because that is like a lot of what songwriting and music. That's so good.
Absolutely.
All right, and last thing, well, second to last thing. In 2011, the White Stripes break up, and they say the breakup is due to a myriad of reasons, but mostly to preserve what is beautiful and special about the band.
Recent Rock Hall of Fame inductees, the White Stripes, mind
Yes,
you.
they're in the Hall of Fame, and they were. I really enjoyed listening to them growing up, and I haven't listened to them in 10 years now.
Yeah.
since
Important
we
part of
started
that.
this page.
They're such an important part of the landscape of
They are, yeah.
popular music in the the 2000s and 2010s, and even still now. I mean, I think everybody who has a pulse is familiar with the song Seven Nation Army, for example. So
Yeah,
I mean,
anytime you have a two-person band that can really fill the room and be unique.
It's so
I mean,
cool.
any novelty like setup or construction of the band is all, and then when they make it work to like a high level and compare with other bands, it's special. So they were doing awesome stuff, and
big
everybody
time.
appreciates them, I think.
Jack and Meg White, man. And lastly, on this day in 2016, Grunge Bible was founded and published its first post, as we spoke about at the top of the episode, and as we'll get into here, as we have a myriad of questions about Grunge Bible, about us, about the page. So let's get into a little Q&A, Ethan. What do you say?
I'd love to.
All
I'd
right,
love
man.
to. So I can kick it off here.
Yeah, I've deferred to the second half, so you can take the ball.
Oh, incredible. A lot of people are doing that these days. Okay, so the simple question, and it goes back to the entry, why grunge? Why not any other genre? I think you can piggyback and say, like, could it be possible with another genre? So Chris, why grunge?
Well, I certainly think it could have happened with any other genre, but grunge was what we connected to at the time. You know, we've told the story, and this is a callback to episode one. It was episode one in the beginning, which we at the time discussed. We discussed why we started the page.
Very biblical.
Oh yeah, that's
Very
a good
biblical
hey,
times.
grunge Bible, man.
I know,
That's
I
a
know.
good refresher. But you know, with where we were at our lives, man. I mean, we were listening to all different kinds of music. I mean, we talked about, you know, at the time we had gotten close through our shared love of a lot of music from the '60s and '70s, namely Creedence Clearwater Revival, the band, and Canned Heat were kind of our big three at the time. But we had discovered the Pearl Jam song Release outside of already knowing a lot of, you know, the stuff that you'd hear on rock radio at the time. You know, the Alives, the Jeremys, the Even Flows of the World. You know, a lot of those songs, but Release was really a catalyst for us. And, you know, we just kind of felt something in that music that we didn't feel, in the same way from a lot of other songs. And, you know, we started, you know, reading about the song, reading about the band, and reading about what other people like us had to say about the band. And we were just so struck by the emotion, and the reverence with which people approached this genre of music. And I think, you know, it had us hook, line, and sinker from then. And, you know, I didn't, you know, at the time when we discovered that song, certainly this page wasn't on the horizon. And, you know, connecting with other people that felt that way about us wasn't really on the horizon. But as we got deeper into the music, it quickly became apparent that we yearned for a connection like that. And we wanted to be a part of that conversation and listen to other people's stories. And, you know, at the time, develop our story, because it really was just beginning. And, you know, 10 years later, we've got an
Now we can
unbelievable
tell our story.
Yeah, we've got an unbelievable story to tell with this music. And, you know, I think in the same way that a lot of people that follow the page and listen to the show were teenagers in, you know, 91, 92, and maybe getting out of high school or in college, and this stuff was a big soundtrack to their lives. It was the same for us as it's the same for teenagers nowadays. You know, this music, I think, will always have a pull on people when they're at that point in their life, when there is a lot of uncertainty and there are a lot of new experiences to be had, and when you can really make a decision with intent about who you want to be and what you want your life to be like and what you want to stand for. You know, all of those things are so apparent in the grunge genre. You know, a lot of these individuals that we spend most of our time talking about were great standard bearers of those feelings. And, you know, it kind of showed me certainly at the time that, like, you can stand for something big, and, you know, you can be a force for good, and, you know, you can share what you're feeling and connect with other people through it. So I think that's, for me, that's why.
It's a good
grunge.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah,
Pretty
I think,
similar?
you know, just, you know, kind of building off all that, you know, we had our classic rock base, and just the same way the music shifted through time. I think we wanted something a little more edgy. We were, you know, 19 and 21. So the angstiness of the grunge, but really the subject matter and the way that they talked about their songs and the lyrics. Obviously Pearl Jam was really, integral during this time. And, you know, just talking about the possibilities and what's next. And obviously, yeah, we just fell in love with, I think, the lyrics and, like I said, the sound of it all. And it could have been, I think plenty of genres do this, I think, capture similar thoughts. But just like grunge, it was a time and place. I think, you know, starting the page was a very specific time and place that we were, that it spoke to us. And I don't know, sometimes, you know, it's better to be lucky than good. And I think that we were just lucky to fall into the ideas that grunge brought to us, and we just had to put them on paper. And then we were married to the genre, and we haven't really cheated all that much in our time with grunge. Some would say that
we always come back home to the old.
There's a
ball
lot
and
of
chain.
business trips, but we always come home, and
We certainly do. Yeah.
and so it's fun. I think the history aspect, it was like the history aspect of it, but they were also, you know, Pearl Jam and you know, Chris was still alive, STP was still rolling, and stuff was still going on in the genre. So it was enough old and enough new at the time that we just, you know, enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that. Absolutely. I'm sure on the set of questions that you have, there's a lot of questions about this. In addition to the set of questions I have, a lot of like how we met, where we're from, if we're from Seattle, all that kind of stuff. So I'm from Rhode Island. You're from Pennsylvania. We met at the University of Pittsburgh as teammates on the track and field team. We were teammates for 1 year. And since then, our lives, as we've
9
said,
months.
Yeah, dude, that's it. We only lived together for 9 months, which is kind of wild. You know, since then, our lives have taken us into quite a few different places, you know, you to Kentucky and then to Alabama, myself out to Iowa, and then back to the East Coast here where I still remain. I've never actually been to Seattle.
Yeah.
You've been to Seattle once, right?
I have. I almost
Yeah.
forgot, but yes, I have. I have been one time. We've never been there together. One of the questions was any plans to go to Seattle,
Yeah,
and
we 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 got to
I think
do
we
it at some
should.
point. Yeah.
Chris is turning 30 in September. We did something for my 30th birthday. We went to Joshua Tree. There's a possibility we go back to Joshua Tree, but he is in planning mode. He has to give us something because we are doing something for your 30th
Yeah,
birthday. I'm not
dude.
letting. I think 30 is a good one to celebrate, and we have to. We're gonna lock something in so far in advance that we have to commit to it.
You don't have a
So
choice.
maybe Chris will pick Seattle, but we're not gonna put any pressure on him today.
Dude, it
But
might
keep an
have to
eye
be.
out that we will be doing something big for Chris's 30th.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's big time. I like that.
Good. Good. I just threw that on you, so
That's good, man. I can take it.
that's right. This is kind of a say existential question, but what has been so satisfying for you? So what has satisfied your? It doesn't really. I guess about the page, it doesn't really clarify. So, what has been satisfying to you, Chris, throughout this journey?
Oh man. Well, I suppose I think in terms of the page, as I alluded to earlier, it's just got to be the relationships that we've made. I mean, we've met, hundreds and hundreds of people that we've, gotten to know on like a first name basis. We've had dozens and dozens of hangs with people that we wouldn't have otherwise met. We've had great experiences. So I think like that's always fulfilling and that's rewarding. I think of the value that's been added to my life personally through those relationships and just through different experiences that we've had. Also it's fulfilling and it's rewarding for me to, be able to press post on something and it conjure up a memory for somebody or it helps somebody
Yeah.
or it just makes their day better.
Yeah.
The fact that like any opportunity I think you have to like put something out into the world or to bring something to somebody's attention or remind something,
To
remind
be
somebody of something
consumed.
that's
Yeah.
going to make their day tangibly better. That's really cool. And we have the chance to do that each and every single day. I'm also like, 10 years is a long time. Like I'm proud that like we're still doing this.
Yeah.
The cadence of the page like has not changed. We're keep up with that and, been posting all the time and I haven't been fatigued and I'm happy that, it's a portion of my life and I'm grateful for that. And it hasn't, it's become an element of my life while not taking away from any other element of my life. And it's just a cool thing to be a part of. And, as I alluded before, like I'm pretty grateful and I'm proud of the way that my life is turning out to this point. We've all had challenges over the years and, we've all
Yeah.
had decisions we've had to make when we've been uncertain as to what the next step ought to be. And, I think, if you've got a good heart and you put the work in, I think you end up where you're supposed to be, or you certainly end up in a place where you're happy to be. And I'm grateful that, how different my life is now from, what it was in 2016. I've ended up in a place where I'm happy and feeling pretty fulfilled by most of the things in my life. So what about you?
Tom has entered the chat.
Excellent.
I'm very satisfied at the like we read the first post that we posted, and the approach and the way that we talk about music, the way that you post about music is always it's been the same. It's been evergreen, and there hasn't been anything that strayed away the kind of the passion that you put behind the music, put behind the conversations, and that's just good because a lot of people change through time. 10 years is a long time. People change a lot, and obviously we have changed in musical taste a little bit here and there, but it all is woven together in a great way. And the really the structure is the same. And that's always satisfying that, you're able to, kind of, you ride the wave that it brings. So that's been, really, really, it's just, it feels the same as it did 10 years ago in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of been
Yeah.
like, I mean, in a lot of ways, the Grunge Bible's kind of been the most consistent thing in our lives. We talk about
Yeah.
like, anybody that goes from, 20 to 30, I mean, how much your life changes, how many things are, in your life when you're 20 that aren't in your life when you're 30 and that have been replaced by new things. Like this has always been there, man, like,
Yeah.
as consistently as you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you wake up and, you're part of this community. So, throughout all the uncertainty, like there's always been one thing to rely on, and that's this page, which is kind of crazy. So, a couple of other questions here, which I'm sure Ethan, you have a lot of them as well. There's a couple of questions. At what point did you realize, oh shit, we're a big deal? Another question, did you ever imagine the page would top 1 million followers and some of the kids of grunge royalty would be among your followers? A lot of I don't know, like if we ever decided like that we're, oh shit, we're a big deal. Did you ever have a moment like that? Because I don't feel like it's a big deal.
Yeah, it comes and goes. I think anytime you have that thought, you kind of like it kind of dissipates pretty quickly.
Yeah, because you're like, well, we're not.
We're not. Yeah, like it's
because like we're not a big deal. Like Grunge Bible might be a big deal, but it's not like Chris and Ethan aren't big.
Right. It's never been. Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of. Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of like kind of transferring the fame to the personal. I mean, the profiles are still under 3,000 followers. So
right.
Like, as it should be. Yeah. So I think there's times where you get excited, but then it's more about the community. And so I think realizing that the community is so connected and steadfast, that's always like the Patreon and having people like, there's a group of people that consistently look forward to the podcast and really do look forward to posts and how they make them feel. I think that's like the kind of the best feeling that this page has brought.
Yeah, because especially with the podcast. Aspect. Yeah, especially with the podcast. Like, I don't know, like I'm each and every time we publish an episode and people listen to it and people respond to it, like I'm kind of continually surprised each week. Like I just, it feels like a big deal that like we're doing something that people have a vested interest in, both with their time and in some cases their money. It is kind of cool too that like a lot of like the sons and daughters of people who made the music, like some of Chris's children follow, some of Eddie's children follow, some of Dave's kids follow, some of Liam Gallagher's kids follow it, so it's kind of crazy, and they consistently interact with it, which is pretty cool. So I guess like the feeling of like we're a big deal or like a accomplishment in that way, it happens every now and then, but I'd say it's more fleeting, and it's just kind of keeping our eye on the ball here a little bit. But that stuff is pretty cool, I would say.
Yeah. Someone in good Grunge Bible fashion just put in all caps "into the flood" again.
We've heard that a time or two.
I think that's something to be brought up right now. I mean, that's what this page is, "into the flood" again. Same little trip it was back then. The mantra of the page, and it wouldn't be a Q&A without somebody just typing that. So thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you to Charlie Lloyd Zero.
It wouldn't be a Q&A without people asking us, who our favorite of the big four is, or
pick one.
Yeah, put them in order. We've done that all the time. Here's a good question, because you and I have conversations about this periodically. And this comes from Patreon supporter Lana Andalade. Lana asks, has there ever been a moment or incident where you guys have come close to saying fuck this and giving up on the page? And what was almost the last straw?
That's a great question, and it's so eloquently put too.
Fuck this, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, there has been times. I think like now it's like it's never. I think that every time we talk about it, we know that we're not going to stop it, right? Like it's like there's this like we had those frustrations. It's like I can't believe that like I have to make time to record this podcast through different scenarios in life. But I don't know if there's a specific I don't really know that there's a specific time. It's just little things. It's just like the 1,000 cuts type of
I don't think we've
like
ever come super close to hitting the red button on the page. Yeah. Maybe the podcast, like you reach a point where everything has a certain life cycle. Both the page and the podcast will end at some point. I don't think that we've come particularly close. I say the closest we come is when it's Saturday afternoon, we have to put a podcast out on Monday. We're like, man, like I don't have the time or the ideas to do this. Like, how are we going to do this? But I think like we've both made the decision that like it's just a non-negotiable thing that we do. So that kind of takes like the the doomsaying out of it. And I don't think we've ever come close to really ramping down the page. The time will come. Honestly, I feel like something's going to happen to the page, before we decide that we want to be done with it. It'll be taken from us by the powers that be. If we just like
the landscape of in social media may change.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be the one thing that would forecast or that would bring about the end of the page. Because I don't know, like it's never really felt particularly overwhelming to do it. It's really not that hard. People always wonder about how much time, and I don't know. It's just it's a manageable aspect of your life at this point. There's another pretty good question here, which is kind of funny. What do you think has been the most ridiculous controversy you have ever been a part of with the page? And we've stirred up some controversy over time. We started talking about Primus and how much they sucked. Come to find out that was Primus's whole shtick about like Primus sucks. Like there's been controversies about like things that we've said. It's always mini controversies anytime we post like Limp Bizkit or Creed or something like that. A little bit of controversy. We have come up against the censors a few times. We've been sent to Instagram jail. Not really controversy, but just certainly ridiculous. We got shadow banned once because I posted a Sesame Street meme with like the Cookie Monster, and like we got sent to Instagram jail for that. I also got sent to Instagram jail. I shared on January 6th, 2021, when all of Trump's brainwashed supporters stormed the Capitol. I posted something about that, and I got shadow banned. The page got shadow banned for promoting violence, even though I was being critical of the violence that was being portrayed. So that's always fun. Anytime people like to stir up controversy, anytime you voice an opinion that they disagree with, certainly even about music. Like anytime like people are saying that like Courtney killed Kurt Cobain, which I think is ridiculous. Like there's the evergreen controversies. I don't think we've been the catalyst of any of these necessarily. We've just kind of butt in on some of these controversies, but it's been pretty beef free over the years. We've had beefs that we may have wanted to start, but
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. Again, I mean, there's some pages that we've jousted with over the years that just like steal our shit. But honestly, like it's just not worth the it takes a lot of energy to be angry, and I have a lot more productive things to channel my energy to instead of just starting a beef. So keep that one to ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, we tend to stay out of stuff. I mean, it's just not. I mean, especially with social media, it's like I don't think we get too wrapped up in like wanting to be right,
stupid
being
bullshit,
and being the hard line about an opinion. Like all the opinions.
Certainly, when it comes to music, I mean, like it doesn't matter.
It leaves room. Yeah, exactly. It leaves rooms for individuality and like what people enjoy listening to. And we're not going to tell them that something's better than the other. So,
well, that's the one thing that I like about the page. Like we've never like spoken from the pulpit about any of that stuff where it's just like, here's our thoughts. Like, even at this point, like now more so than ever, I think we do have the ability if we wanted to like speak with authority on some of these subjects because we know more than most people at this point just by virtue of running the page, but like we still choose to not do that because at the end of the day, certainly about music and taste and stuff like that, like, nobody's feeling about, what something sounds like or whether something's good or not, is more valid or less valid than anybody else. So I think it's, anytime you speak in absolutes about art, I think you're in for some trouble. So we've avoided trouble for the most part with stuff like that, which I'm happy about because it's no good, man.
Yeah. Someone asked, said, I haven't listened to any of your podcasts yet, in quotes, which is interesting, but I'm amazed in how you don't run out of topics. So I don't know how if you don't listen to any of the podcasts, you don't know that we in fact do run out of podcasts.
We do run out of topics, man.
And sometimes we do, but yes, we always find a way to bring music into conversation and have fun with it. And it is surprising, but there's, at the end of the day, there isn't endless things to talk about. It's just whether it's what the listener is looking for that day. And I think the follow base has done a great job of, understanding what we like to do and how we like to present it. And I'm pretty satisfied with where the page or the podcast is at. So we can able to,
oh yeah,
insert our opinions and just talk about, this and do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And, it'll be fine. People understand what's going on and they'll wait for the next episode type of thing. And it happens with all podcasts.
100%. Like if you think about it, like the internet has become one of the more intolerant places that you can go to. And like, our community is like pretty tolerant of more or less everything that we do. And like, if you don't like something we post or you don't like a topic, like there's always another one. Like you just exercise a little bit of patience. And like, if we're not posting or talking about stuff that you're interested in, just wait a week for the next podcast or wait like 4 hours for the next post. And like, chances are like you're going to find something that you're into. So it's a good little exercise in patience. But I think people have been like pretty tolerant, and they've given us a lot of rope to, beat dead horses over the years with some of the
Oh
bits that
yeah.
we do. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Anniversaries and birthdays. Oh yeah, you gotta put your time in. So this is a good one, Chris. I don't know if you saw this, but coming from Jay Preda, they said, just wanted to say that I heard my local rock station, 92 KQRS in Minnesota, shouted out the Grunge Bible.
Oh, no kidding, dude.
We've made the radio waves.
Dude, that's huge. That
might
is,
be the most satisfying thing I've heard about the page in a while.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
This has happened.
I
once
wish I was on
before.
radio.
Yeah, me too, dude. I'd just be shouting random people out and making their day. This must have been at this point like 3 or 4 years ago, but we received a few messages, and I've never actually heard it because I tried to ask the people that let us know if they had a recording of it. But apparently, Kat Corbett, who is a host on Sirius XM's Lithium Radio, at one time also shouted out something that we posted on the page. But maybe it was just like a concerted effort by like 3 or 4 people conspiring to lie to us about it. But that's pretty cool. Anytime like we can kind of like break the fourth wall and like get out of like Instagram world into the real world and like linear forms of media, that's pretty cool. Like we also I think it was in 2022 for the 5th anniversary of Chris Cornell's death. We were mentioned and we were quoted in the New York Post. They did an article about the anniversary of Chris Cornell's death, 5 years after his death, and we got a little some press in there. But there's not too much press that comes our way. It'd be really cool if somebody ever profiled us. Like I've always thought it'd be cool if like Rolling Stone did an article on Grunge Bible and like the greater like 90s rock movement that's still going on and how it's staying alive. But I don't write for Rolling Stone, so I can't pitch that to anybody. But that's pretty cool. I love a shout out on FM radio. That's pretty sick.
Exactly. Yeah. I just lost my thought. I was gonna say it is cool that just being a part of something that is a lot of nostalgia for people, and seeing it be in people's lives the last 10 years and how it's changed. That's been pretty rewarding, and just like, I don't know, I guess we got lucky in a way, deciding grunge music versus big band or something.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's another question. Do you guys still have the same top 4 order as you did the day you started the account? And that's kind of hard to answer because at the time it was really just Pearl Jam. Like we hadn't gotten into Soundgarden, Alice, or Nirvana really. I think as we developed, Pearl Jam was certainly number 1. And at the time for me, I would say Soundgarden would have been number 2, Alice number 3, and Nirvana number 4. I don't really know how I would rank them today. Ranking is just not really important to me. I guess just with my history, Pearl Jam would still be number 1. But Soundgarden and Alice in Chains are always kind of jousting for that second spot, and Nirvana is usually always in 4th place for me. So kind of depends on the day. Have you had any movement over the years with some of that stuff?
Yeah, I don't think so. I guess I don't really. The rankings seems to change all the time, and the more time goes by, it doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
Because I think sometimes here it's Alice in Chains, sometimes it's Soundgarden, sometimes it's Pearl Jam. I would agree. Nirvana, like I get a lot of inspiration at times when I go into them, but they're not like, I don't know. I think I will tend to move towards the other ones as well. I really appreciate Nirvana, obviously, but maybe if I was there. But no, I don't give it too much thought, honestly, like ranking. It's just like I get excited when any of the songs come on the radio or any of the songs come on. The excitement's the same, it feels like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've got another one here if you don't have one top of mind.
Yeah, let's get a few more and we'll wrap it up, I'd say.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, 100%. So somebody asked, will you ever expand into other pages like Dance Bible, Indie Bible, Rap Bible, etc.? Ethan, I don't want to speak for you, but the answer is unequivocally from me, no. I couldn't imagine running another page. We still have another page. Yeah,
there was a time.
We have another page called Porch Radio, which was basically just like anything we wanted to post outside of grunge. I don't think we haven't posted consistently on that page in a few years, but I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I have appreciation for so many other types of music, but honestly, at this point, like if there's something from like, pop punk or emo or indie or blues that I want to post about, I
You
just post
post.
it on Grunge Bible, you know, like
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
prefer to do that. I don't have the band, and that my cup would runneth over, and it would make all of this not fun. So I gotta, I think I know my limits, and I don't want to do anything else like that. There's a couple other pages that like have just like expanded into other, pages, just trying to build up a business, and like I don't really care too much about like the business side of it in order to do that. And also, like, I have a job, like I have hobbies, like I don't I don't want to spend more time doing this than I already do.
Like you said, we tried with the porch radio and it did well. It was a lot of fun, but like you said, there's kind of the things you do on the page, like midnight specials for a while and different. Just yeah, you just post whatever you
Like
want at this
hashtag
point.
not grunge.
Yeah, it's totally moved to it's whatever. So it's yeah. I don't think that there's no reason to have another. It's like there's no reason to do it.
Well,
Like
I
you have
think
two things to monitor and like what you just gonna compare or whatever.
yeah. It's better too that we posted it on Grunge Bible, because I think it's important to challenge like the stuffy grunge heads out there. It's important to challenge them to listen to other stuff and to get exposed to other stuff. So like I think we're kind of like waging a guerrilla campaign of just like exposure therapy for all this stuff that people think that they wouldn't
Yeah.
want to listen to. And there was another question.
That's the evangelism of Grunge Bible
Yeah, and that's the
happening.
whole thing. Yeah, exactly.
That's just going door to
the whole
door.
point, and somebody piggybacking off
Phone to
of that,
phone.
somebody said, how have your musical tastes changed if you've developed more or less appreciation for a band? And, I think certainly for both of us, and I'd say like you've been more integral for me with that than Grunge Bible itself, just in terms of like developing an appreciation and casting a wider net in terms of the music that I listen to and that I enjoy. And, I'm always up for the challenge of getting into something new and learning about, I mean, we just did it with the Butthole Surfers recently. Like, yeah, I don't think I would have done that of my own accord if like you didn't broach the subject to me. So yeah, I think music tastes and appreciation should always be developing. I don't think you should. I don't think you should get lazy or be lulled into complacency with it. And my favorite music genres at this point, and some of my favorite bands are stuff that I would have told you that I didn't like 10 years ago. So you always got to be on the move with this stuff.
Yeah, and as far as going to different genres and like you said, understanding, I love the challenge, and I think that recently I've been fascinating just the influence on genre to genre and band to band and time period to time period. There's so much of different jazz and rock and roll and grunge and then grunge into new metal, and then like you just see it morph and change. So anytime you listen, I think you understand the music scene a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
and you understand how it connects and how people write, and it really is very connected. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So there's stuff that I will put on and be like, yep, I don't. This is not for me right now. Like I don't like the sound of it. But generally, if it's got guitar and drums and a good bass or something, I can get into it. So yeah, it changes, and I like to be very appreciative of the challenge.
yeah.
So.
That's what I think. That's if I could pick like another like central tenet of this page, it's challenging yourself with new art, and you grow as a person that way. So definitely agree with that. Another question here. Where is it? Somebody wanted to know why the name Grunge Bible.
Right. I figured that would come up.
Yeah.
The story, this one again gets lost in translation as far as like how we actually like stumbled upon it, other than the fact that it felt like the way people talked about Eddie Vedder, they compared him to Jesus, and like they would reference like angels and the voices and stuff. I do want to say that like it's such a good name. Like it really is.
Yeah.
It is like we fell into this one that just like it's so. And that could just be because it's 10 years and we're used to it now. Maybe in the beginning it was like it sounded weird, but now it just sounds really normal and right, and it fits it so well. So like yeah, it's just funny.
I mean, I do remember we had made the decision to start the Instagram page before we had an idea for the page, and I remember I don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but I remember you and I having a conversation like, what did we call it? And I think you came up with Grunge Bible. We were
I did,
spitballing
yeah.
a bunch of different ideas, and
I
it
wonder
was,
what the other ones were.
I don't know, man.
That would be
I
funny
wish,
because
yeah.
I feel like this was the first name that was like Grunge Bible, and you were like, "Yep."
Yeah,
You know,
well,
it's like I don't think we had many.
It's like when you're naming a pet, it's like you're spitballing ideas back and forth, and like somebody says something like, you know what, like that's going to be this dog's name. You know, with I don't remember what we were thinking about, but Grunge Bible, I think it is a pretty perfect name for it. And you know, we had originally, you know, fashioned the idea that we were going to make all of our posts like in the style of like Bible verses, where it's like, you know, Vetter chapter 7 verse 11, like, but that would have been ridiculous to do because we would have had to keep a running tally of like everything that we were doing. But once again, like a lot of these conversations and decisions that we made, like we didn't ever think to document or to pay special attention to, because I don't think we ever thought that like the thing would have the legs that it has. I mean, I remember like being shocked when we had, you know, our first post that got 1,000 likes, or when we got to 5,000 followers, or we got to 50 or 100,000. And then you get, I don't know, I'm still pretty numb to the numbers. Like even when I hit a million, like I had people like that I know in real life that know about the page, like, dude, like congratulations. I'm like, what? Like it's like a Tuesday. Like what? I didn't do anything. Like he just saw me. Like, no, dude, Grunge Bible got 1 million followers. I was like, oh yeah, like, all right, that's cool. Like, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't feel, you just get numb to it when you're used to it every day. So, but yeah, Grunge. I'm glad it's called Grunge Bible. It's just, it's a good name.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. So I think last question, if you're fine with that.
Yeah, man. 100%. We're rolling for about an hour.
Someone brought up, they said first Pearl Jam show ? And I'll expand the question and say, what was it like to see Pearl Jam together for the first time? And that's the first and only grunge concert that we've seen together, I believe.
It's just Pearl Jam. Yeah, we've seen Pearl Jam together twice, because we've, I think in the grunge sphere, like we've both seen Jerry Cantrell, but not together. And I don't know that we've ever seen, you know, we never saw Soundgarden. I've not seen the new iteration of Stone Temple Pilots. Obviously, there's no Nirvana to see. But yeah, dude, you know, I remember being so excited when Pearl Jam announced that tour in 2016, and we kind of, you know, we piggybacked it off of like a fellas week. You know, we rented that beach house in Rhode Island, and we went up to see the Boston show, August 5th, 2016. It was the first
10-year anniversary, right? This is like right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's coming up on 10 years from that show, and I remember being so stoked that we got tickets, and we got terrible seats.
Excited.
And one of our friends that we made, you know, at the time, that we were very friendly with at the time, in conjunction with the page, had seen Pearl Jam something like 30 or 40 times, and he was telling us, he's like, they're going to open with Release, and we knew at that time that like if Pearl Jam played Release, it was an opener, but we knew that they didn't open all of their shows with it. Certainly they always jump around, and Release was our favorite song, and he was like, I just know they're going to open with Release. And sure enough, we got there probably 30, 40, no, it was a while. We got there maybe like an hour and a half before they took the stage. We were sitting there for a while, and I remember they played so I don't think so. They played over the PA. They played "Won't Get Fooled Again" by The Who as they walked out, and then Stone starts playing the opening riff to Release. And dude, that was like, we get always questions about like what the most important show or whatever that we've been to. I think that's got to be it, because that was the culmination at that time. What had been a short journey with the music, but nonetheless a very impactful journey with the music. That kind of, when they played Release, man, that show kind of validated everything that we had done to that point.
And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. So like I said, 10 years of the page, and it'll be 10 years since the first Pearl Jam show. I'm proud of us for getting to a show that year. Like we wanted to, you know, because people were calling our honor into question all the time.
Yeah,
saying
like
that we weren't there.
We kids, you know,
you were never there. You're not old enough. You're not this. Well, Chris was 19 when he saw Pearl Jam for the first time. That's pretty substantial.
And you were 21, dude, you know.
So like the fact that we were there,
you were able to buy us beer.
Yes, I was able to buy us beer. Although we had a friend do that, which was great. But
yeah, we did.
Yes, it was a wonderful trip, and like I said, we were so excited to be able to go. And you know, it was just one of those instances where you just do, and you're happy you did it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, it's funny too. Like when you're like 19 and, you know, when you're that young, like, it's so easy at that age just to like make the decision, like, I'm going to do this and figure out everything later, when like you don't have the finances or maybe the ability, to like hop in your car because you might not own one to get somewhere, but like how easy of a decision that was. Like, well, we have to go, and like we figured it out and we did it. And it's kind of funny, like the older you get, like you have more ability both in terms of independence and perhaps financially to be able to go and do those things, but it gets harder to do it. And like that show is a good reminder. Like you just got to do it. You got to book the trip. You got to go see the show. You gotta call your buddy. You gotta take action on things that are important to you. So that was a really special show. And to answer a lot of the questions asking like what our most important or favorite show, I think that's still got to take the cake.
Right.
That was a hell of a night, dude. That was a really, really good one. So it's fitting that, that's kind of where we end this discussion of 10 years of the page, because that was one of the more important events in our history running Grunge Bible. So who's to say what the next 10 years will bring, Ethan? But I don't know if we'll be 39 and 42 doing this or goodness, 41 doing this, but certainly happy that it's been, a central element of our lives throughout our 20s and, into our 30s here. So very grateful to have the chance to do this and reflect a little bit today on 10 years of Grunge Bible. So thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. 10 strange years to elaborate on the 3 strange days.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad that we could talk about it. I'm really happy that this comes out the same day.
Yeah.
And like I said, our lives are busy and a lot of things are going really well. So it's fun to take time and be able to talk about this and have it a part of our lives. It's just a privilege.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So once again, thank you everybody for listening and making the page what it is. It would not be so much fun. It would not be worthwhile doing if it wasn't received as it is on the on the page or on the Facebook or on the on the podcast and the reviews and whatnot. So thank you. Leave a review also if you haven't, because I mean, you can give us whatever stars you want, but I'm saying leave a type review. Give us something because we enjoy reading them and telling. That's when people say they love reading reviews. That's honest. It is always fun to actually hear from the people. So, it's always worth the time to type it. So, thank you. That's all I have, man.
Yeah, man, that's it. And lastly, thank you to our producer, Drew McFadden. This element of Grunge Bible wouldn't exist without him. We wouldn't have the podcast without him. So, very indebted to all of his support over the years, even prior to starting the podcast, just how supportive he was of us and the ambition that we had to do this. He's been with us every step of the way. So massive thanks to Drew. Love you, dude. Looking forward to having you on soon.
Yeah. Amen to that. Love Drew.
Song of the week, Ethan, anything?
Oh man. Song of the week. You go first. Let me quick look here at the Rolodex.
Yeah, man. While you go through that, I'll tee up an easy one just in the spirit of the page. I'm going to go with Hard to Imagine by Pearl Jam, one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. And, things were different then, all is different now. I tried to explain somehow. I think that's a pretty good, metaphor or analogy to this page. All is different now.
I'll give 2.
Excellent.
Just because I was going to go the easy route and say it wouldn't be a 10-year anniversary without saying that everybody should go listen to Wood by Alice in Chains.
Excellent. That's a winner.
And then, just forecasting later for when the page finally dies and we get into some trouble, I'm going to go with the song by Warren Zevon, Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Oh, dude. Send lawyers, guns, and money.
Well, I'm going to get a call from Chris, or Chris is going to get a call from me, or we're going to call you guys and say, send lawyers, guns, and money. So,
dude, that's something. Those are 3 things that everybody needs, dude.
Based on a true story.
Dude, I went home with a waitress the way I always do. How was I to know she was with the Russians, too? Dude, I was gambling in Havana and I took a little risk. Send lawyers, guns, and money. Dad, get me out of this.
It's amazing. I knew you'd love that one.
Oh, yeah. Warren fucking Zevon, man. What a guy. Also recently inducted in the Rock Hall of Fame, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah.
It's a good place to leave it, Ethan. 10 years of Grunge Bible in the books. We're starting decade number 2 from this point forward.
Crazy. Rock and roll, everybody. Stay heavy.
Stay heavy. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.